Welcome to the short version of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies. Here, what you'll find is the spoiler-free basics of the movie Jim and I examined during our weekly live stream. That would be this one. And our first thoughts about the movie and whether or not we thought it was worth your time. Enjoy. Recorded in the socially distant studios of the Rob Christensen Radio Network, it's Jim and Rob Overanalyze the Movies, the short version. All right, it's time to get to work. Tonight we are looking at Movie Trailers, A Love Story. Now, from IMDb, here's the log line. Movie Trailers, Love Story, a documentary examining the creation and evolution of movie trailers and their passionate, yet sometimes complicated, relationship with film fans. The film was written and directed by John Campea, who is the host and producer of a long-running daily YouTube film review and discussion channel, The John Campea Show. It features a number of folks, including, and here, it's quite the extensive list of interviewees they brought up. It includes filmmakers, trailer producers, trailer fans who've managed to make their fandom into a living on the internet, on YouTube. It's like just this weird sort of YouTube economic circle in this movie. Anyway, let's go as far as its ideological ingredients go. Okay, let's take a look at it. Would it earn a reframe stamp? No, it would not. Is it union made? No, it isn't. Would it earn a Bechdel, did it pass the Bechdel test? No, it didn't. And is there any class consciousness? No. So I think what we really got there, I'm a little surprised. Jim, that's 0 out of 4. I think that's got to be our first time, eh?
Yeah. Well, this one's a very particular one too. So it's not like it's your standard, coming of age tale or what have you.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a sort of a mini production, and so very focused, and a documentary, right? So, so it's a little bit of an odd duck.
It is, yeah. And you're absolutely right. Well, let's get into it.
Sure, yeah.
Why don't we bear with me?
Absolutely.
What are your first thoughts?
Well,
we should just rewind.
Sure, yeah.
Just repeat that.
Sure. The worst, I think, I was thinking to myself earlier today in terms of how to introduce this, and I thought, being uninteresting is probably the worst crime a documentary could make. Then I thought, probably accuracy is more important. But so the second worst crime would be to be uninteresting, and this one's interesting. So. Yeah, I'd say this is it's got a couple things going for it. It is interesting. It wavers from time to time, but it's only, I think it's a tight 80 minutes. Yeah.
And
it's
very brief credit roll.
Yeah. Yes. It's interesting. It's not about crime. It's a documentary that's not about any kind of civil rights thing that's going to make you sad and mad. So it's a fairly lighter documentary, and I thought it was quite interesting. I liked it. It sort of made me think. I mean, it's a love story about movie trailers. I think sort of existentially it didn't ask some questions like, what does this do for our sense of attention? We always talk about scenes that breathe, and meanwhile, these guys are talking about you needed to be grabbed in the first 3 to 6 seconds, or something to that effect. And I thought, whoa, that's not.
You need a bumper you need a cold open to your trailer, or people will switch.
Yes, yeah. So there's a few things like that we can get into, but on the whole, it was perhaps a fairly, it could have been a little more critical. And there's another element in it that we'll talk about that I thought it should have, but I liked it and I thought it was good and it covered a lot of bases. It's divvied up into 10 chapters. I'll say it now. What I thought it was missing was almost a case study of where you look at one particular, they talked a lot about it in general, but you needed to see almost, and it doesn't have to be the whole movie. It could have been one chapter, but just 10 minutes, take a look at one. They talked a lot about different trailers, but you needed to take a look at one from the start to the end. And I think that would give us a better sense. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, you saw my head nodding.
Yeah.
I'll start with the problems, highlight, and we'll get into it.
Sure.
I agree with you. First of all, how do you make a movie about movie trailers and not at least have one sequence on how a movie trailer's made?
Yeah.
Like, just walk us through one. Mm-hmm. You've got all these talented people. Could we have a beginning, middle, and end? The other thing, I think you hinted at it. You say it's a love story. I really missed the fact that there wasn't someone who kind of, and honestly, it should have been John Campea. It's not like he's never been on screen before.
Yeah.
He should have been, him or somebody, some audience proxy on screen saying, I remember the first trailer I saw. Like, there was a lot of those anecdotes, and they're really charming, and they made me think of some of those experiences, but it would have been nice to have been walked through the movie, even if they weren't necessarily doing every interview, but they were the ones that there was a bit of an arc that we're saying, this is where I first fell in love with trailers. Mm-hmm. And then this is where trailers hurt me in my heart. And, like some sort of way to, an audience proxy on screen to bring us through this. And so at times, I agree with you, Jim. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of light. I don't think I was ever actually bored. Mm. Ever really. I find this stuff interesting, but it's so inside baseball that there's no, I couldn't. It's interesting because I'm into the subject.
Yes.
I wish there was somebody who could walk us through. I wish there was a bit of an arc, and it's interesting, but kind of a big trivia dump at times. Like it's. The chapters, the way they did that, I thought was fine. And it's a perfectly fine, light movie. It's a perfectly fine, light, interesting documentary. It didn't offend me. There you go.
And it wasn't, again, I take a look at a lot of the podcasts I listen to, they tend to be mostly American, something that no offense, there's a big world out there. Try to get a little bit away from that, but also true crime and politics. And it's sort of, this is North American. I think Campea's from Halifax.
He's Canadian, yep.
Yeah, he's Canadian, which I didn't know until today. But so it's not a true crime. It's just a nice sort of a different subject, sort of a look into a different subject. A little bit uncritical at times, but it's a good start anyway. And 80 minutes is a fairly quick watch.
So first, it is pronounced Campea, although Campea. I kind of flip between the two.
Okay.
And second, so is it worth your time?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay. I agree. The only qualifier I'd say is it's especially worth it if you're really into movies.
Yes.
If you're not really into movies, Sunday afternoon time killer.
Yeah.
Well, hello again. I guess you enjoyed that, or you're supporting me. Either way, you watched the whole video, which makes me very happy. Anyway, if you wanted to check out the whole episode, you'll find a link to it here. And of course, if you want to continue to support the channel, if you enjoy this kind of nonsense, either or, it doesn't matter to me, please press like and subscribe, and don't hesitate to ring that bell. I think that's about it. Bye-bye.